Now, I want to talk a little bit about some tips, some techniques, or I guess you could call them drawing brain hacks. And these are some of the things that I've done over the past 5 or 6 years. These ideas are kind of subconscious. I do all of this in my head when I'm drawing, and I don't really notice it because I'm so used to doing it, but that comes with practice and discipline over time. But the first technique, I call it slow drawing, and it's a very simple concept. Instead of drawing fast, draw as slow as possible. Now, obviously, when you're learning to draw something, it's going to be difficult, and that's why you need to draw slow. You need to analyze and pay attention to every little detail on the page, and it would definitely help to use pencil, sketch. I use a lot of ink, which I know I should probably be sketching out before these robot drawings, which I will in the future. But slow drawing, you could draw fast, you could get a lot more done on the page, but I think quality over quantity is what you should be striving for, or at least at first you should start out with quality, and then as you get better, you move on to quantity, which is what I'm kind of doing right now. I kind of draw a lot of these robots because I'm pretty good at this sort of style. They're not great drawings, I know that. I could definitely improve a million times more, but that's not the point. Now, the second thing I would say is to think ahead. Think ahead before you're drawing. And kind of imagine the lines. Don't just put lines on the paper. Imagine exactly where everything's going to go before you even put it down. And this is something that I'm really used to doing because I don't sketch. I kind of imagine the picture in my head, put it on the page, and then I put the ink down. In this drawing for particular, I'm using some dotted notebook paper, which I usually don't use. I usually have a sketchbook paper, normal plain paper, but this has dots on it, and I find it pretty helpful actually when drawing in perspective. I think you should get a dotted notebook to start out with and then move on to a sketchbook, because when you have something to go off from, to start from, it's a lot easier, because a blank page, there's nothing on it. The ideas are you can't really imagine anything. Of course, if you have a reference, a picture, a photograph or whatever, it's a lot easier, and you should definitely use that. But if you just have a blank page, it's really difficult to start out. You don't know what to do. It also helps to step back a bit and do something else and then come back into drawing. But dotted paper definitely helps a lot because it gives you something to go off from. And so that's why I used that for this drawing in this video. Now, another thing that I like to talk about is drawing cubes and rectangles, really getting good at that, mastering that. And that's been my main focus, because I know that everything you see around you in the world is just shapes. That's all it is. There's more complicated shapes. You might look out in nature and think that these shapes are impossible to draw. But really, if you break it down, it's all just a bunch of shapes put together in weird, confusing ways that you might not understand, but that's fine. Because once you gain experience with looking at the world around you, it becomes a lot more easier. And this is something that you should really focus on when you're going to school, going to work, or traveling, going anywhere. Actually look around. I feel like this is something that people don't do. They don't actually observe nature, trees, the ground, the little cracks in the ground, the clouds, the sky, what's going on. And I feel like you really need to pay attention as an artist to the world around you and really look at things so you can draw them, because this is something that maybe normal people don't focus on as much because, we're all busy. And this is something that kids do a lot, and we kind of lose that as we get older. If you're young, you look at the world in a certain way, and as you get older, it changes, and you don't look at the world in an artistic way as much. And so you've kind of got to keep that and look at the world. Look at the little details in everything. So now I want to talk about another technique that I like to use when drawing. And what I like to call it is level building. And basically what that means is I treat drawing like it's a video game, because that's kind of what it is. It's similar to a video game. There's a lot of things that are similar to video games, and a lot of people play video games. And so I think it makes sense to kind of transfer that passion and that grind in video games over to drawing. For instance, leveling up. You start out at rank 0. Let's say you're playing an RPG. You start out 0. You want to get to rank 99, rank 1,000. And that's how drawing is. You start out not knowing how to do anything, or a low understanding of what to draw. And then over time, you level up. You gain little tidbits, little techniques, and you get to rank 99. Now it's easier said than done, but take that drive for video games and put it into drawing. Now, not everyone plays video games, but I used to play a lot of video games. I love video games, but I'm more focused on drawing right now. So you kind of have to balance that out, I guess. So treat drawing like it's a video game, because that's kind of what it is. And all of these skills that you learn are sort of like items or coins or a point system in a video game. That's how you can do it. Maybe get a paper, make it into a video game. Make a point system. Every time you learn something new, write down a number. I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to figure something out to make it more fun, make it enhance the drawing experience, make it unique, make it different. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about is the artist mindset, the drawing mindset. And what I mean is kind of you have to get prepared for being an artist. It depends. You have to think ahead. How long do you want to draw? Do you want to draw for the next 5, 10 years, or do you want to draw for the rest of your life? That's the first thing. And you have to have a purpose of why you want to draw. Because chances are you're going to fail a lot. I've failed a lot. I've failed thousands, tens of thousands of times. I've made, over the years, well over 20, 30,000 drawings that I'll probably show in the next few videos. I have some sketchbooks, a pile. And so you're going to fail a lot. But obviously, if you do things correctly, you might not fail as much as I have. You might make 2 or 3 sketchbooks that are bad, and then you start making masterpieces. Now, something I often ask myself is, how much should I be drawing? And it really depends on each individual, each person. You can draw in a set period of time. You can draw for 3 or 4 hours or 30 minutes a day, or you can draw until you feel like you've done enough. You've filled a couple pages, you made some interesting work. It really depends on what you want to do and what suits you best. For me, I think I like to draw 4 or 5 pages, and if I feel like I want to draw more, then I draw more. And at times it can feel like the drawing process is not really going anywhere, and you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And for me, that's kind of what happens. And so you have to venture into new areas and definitely always be learning something. You have to always be looking out for new ways to do something. That's about all I had to say. That's a few of the techniques, some brain hacks, and other nonsense that I wanted to get out of my mind and into video format. And also onto the page, get what you're feeling, get the feelings from your brain, and then put them on the page. That's what I like doing. And so, yeah, that's all I had to say. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.